patience. Good afternoon, ACS family and guests. On behalf of the ACS African American Heritage Committee, I'd like to welcome you to today's presentation entitled the Fatherhood Working Group Collaboration Event, our informational forum. This is just one of the informational conversations planned for you during this month's long celebration, African American History and Heritage, Our Legacy. My name is Melvin Alston, and I'm honored to greet you as committee's co-chairperson. The mission of the African American Heritage Committee is to honor the legacy, the achievements of our ancestors and forebears, celebrate the rich heritage of African Americans, provide educational opportunities that will both inform and uplift African Americans and the human family, encourage and embrace the principles that our struggle has purpose. Without further ado, I'd like to start our day with our benediction or invocation from the Reverend Abraham Thomas.
Okay, brothers and sisters, forgive the delay. My son keeps telling me I have old tech. As we open our hearts and be willing to sit, I ask the God of our hearts to dwell in us. This is a song, 121, my mother's favorite song before she went on to glory. I will lift up my eyes into the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He will not slumber or suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper, the Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth forevermore. I thank you. Amen.
Amen, amen, amen. Thank you, brother. As most of you know, this is a collaborative effort that we're bringing forth today. It is our attempt to, I guess, enhance and share information to fathers and father figures. At the same time, it's our intent to give ACS employees and the community information on the fatherhood programs that exist in our communities. I guess for too long, a lot of the services been mostly geared not towards the men or our young men. And this is our opportunity to lift them up and point out certain irregularities and inequities in our system. Robert Martinez will go and explain the Fatherhood Working Group that exists inside of ACS. So I'd like to start without further delay. I'm excited to start today's program of the Fatherhood Working Group Informational Forum collaboration by introducing a good friend and respected colleague, Mr. Robert Martinez. Robert.
Thank you, Melvin, and good afternoon, everyone. It's my privilege to be able to share. Hopefully it'll be brief, but there's so much work that's happened since at the very least 2011. I just want to go over that, some of the details of the excellent work that's happened here at ACS, as well as with our partners across the city, state, and even our federal system. In 2011, ACS participated in the Mayor's Office Fatherhood Initiative Work Group under the leadership of Fatherhood Initiatives Coordinator at the mayor's office, Alan Farrell, as well as our ACS Assistant Commissioner, Dale Joseph. During these meetings, we were joined by several city, state partners, and we worked collaboratively to expand our agency individual work to include collective efforts to spread the fatherhood engagement work. In August 2011, which was instrumental, ACS hosted a cross systems, city systems event to discuss how partners and work and the work individually at our respective city agencies and collectively with the state and all city agencies to move this work forward. Again, under the leadership of Alan Farrell, we had a host of, and in collaboration with my partner in crime, of course, Melvin Austin, who really not only was doing this work before 11, but continued it after. So we had this event, and we were able to host fatherhood engagement experts. I can't name them all. Sean Dove, we had Alan Farrell, we have Ray Singleton from HRA at the time, Ray Pierre from DOE, Mike Bobbitt from DYCD at the time. He was, leading this work in his agency. And we got a lot of recommendations, but we also did planning around Dad's Take Your Child to School Day for 2011. And many of the city and state agencies planned together collectively to do these events, not only within their own agencies, but as a collective body within New York State. And with our state partners, Will Henry, who I have to mention as well, who did a lot of work at the state level and representing in the city of New York. Our event in August launched a fatherhood and family events throughout the whole year, 2011, 2012, celebrating holidays, targeted dates to engage fathers and families, such as, Halloween events, winter holidays events, and Valentine's Day daddy-daughter dances. Just to mention a few, every city agency was also holding their own events that all were invited to within the different agencies, but there's just too many to mention. In late spring of 2012, we held another large event called the Fatherhood Reimagined event, wherein we had hosts and experts, guest speakers, etc. Many of who I've mentioned before came back again, speaking again to fatherhood engagement strategies and guidance, particularly focusing on ACS. We hosted it. We were asking for assistance, and we got that. Dad's Take Your Child to School Day became an even more collective effort between the city agencies and the community in 2012 and beyond. We were able to also have a large gathering event in the community with the community, fathers and families, that was covered by the media, New York One, at the Harlem Children's Zone. In 2013, instrumental year. Why? Because we were, again, under the leadership of Alan Farrell, and our cross-agency partners, we held an event at the New York State, the State Building in Harlem, and held that meeting with all our partners, again, to break out this time borough-specific within the city, each of the 5 boroughs, with representatives, not only from the city agencies, but from the community, in order to start thinking about how we were going to do this work borough-wide and then come together citywide. And basically what ended up having come out of that was that in August of that very same year, a month later, and with the blessing of the mayor's office, we were able to develop what we call the Responsible Fatherhood Coalitions. So every borough had a coalition, and it was an entity unto itself, provided resources, information, activities, went to the schools to engage fathers, and that basically has been a staple of the work that we've done over the years, many of which are still in operation today. On or around 2017, I'm coming to a close. The ACS Fatherhood Working Group, I believe, was developed somewhere around that time. Melvin, you can Correct Me and Company, and it was consisted and co-chaired by Melvin Austin, David Peters, Ansel Payne, and Tyler James, and many representatives from ACS and their work with youth and young men, such as Assistant Commissioner Sabine Cherry, Malcolm Smith, Robert Tripler, Joseph Royal, and James Milan, a young man who's doing great work with us and in the community. In this group, we had our great guests and partners, such as Scott Leach of New York City DYCD, and representatives from the mayor's office to join us in the thinking about moving our fatherhood work even further, but with a special concentration, not limited to, but mainly in ACS. What do we do with fathers at ACS in our work through mentoring and other projects that we want to lift up and are still working on, as well as working, you know, as a sort of like an advisory resource to the agency itself, as well as beyond with our partners. And so I want to thank the African American Heritage Committee, as well as the Fathers Working Group for having made this day possible, and we're very grateful. And now that I've provided you some synopsis of our history, I would like to introduce our Masters of Ceremony Assistant Commissioner in the Office of Quality Improvement at ACS, Ansel Payne, who will take it from here. And thank you. Enjoy this wonderful experienced panel of experts. We truly respect your work, and I can't wait to learn more about what you're doing. And we want to thank you again. And Ansel, I'll hand it over to you. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Robert. It's always great to see you, Robert. I know that with COVID and your responsibilities in the borough, it's been hard for us to break bread around the table, but looking forward to those days in the near future. So I want to begin by really thanking Cheryl Drumgo and Melvin Alston for the opportunity to really be here today. I'm honored to be asked to be Master of Ceremony for this event. And so thank you so much. I am always inspired and in admiration of the work that you're doing with the African American Heritage Committee and the entire committee's commitment to really lifting up the voices of Black and African American folks who've laid a foundation for the work that we are doing now and into the future. Picking up on where Melvin left off in terms of the Fatherhood Initiative, we know that at ACS, there's a recognition that we operate in silos. So part of the work that the Fatherhood Working Group wants to do is figure out a way we can pull all these different entities within ACS that are working in silos into a comprehensive, cohesive unit, so we can look at what are our policies and practices that's going to help us better engage fathers and father figures, and as well as thinking about, as a community, how do we support our community as well. So I'm really looking forward to that work. We're moving forward there, and I'm hoping that over the next couple of months you'll be hearing more about that work and how we're making that an agency initiative to really drive the point home that fathers are so important to the work that we're doing. We all know from research that children do best when they have fathers in their lives. So fathers play such an integral role in making sure that families are strengthened, that families are supported, and that families are functioning in the way that we want them to. So I really want to thank all of our guests. I get to you in a few minutes to really about the work that you're doing in making sure that fathers are supported and that they're doing everything that they can and the needs are being met to make sure that they're taking care of their families and their children. So I thank you in advance, and also thank you as we go through the program. So this morning, Melvin gave me a call and sprung this on me, saying I'm going to be introducing the Honorable Judge Michelle Sweeting. And he said to me, well, figure it out, Ansel, you'll figure something out. So you know, when Melvin calls, and I think everyone on a panel, I've had the experience, when Melvin calls, you can't say no to Melvin. So you're like, okay, Melvin, I'll figure it out. And so it does give me great pleasure and a privilege to introduce Judge Michelle Sweeting. So a little bit about Judge Sweeting. She was elected from the historic 10th Municipal Court District in Harlem, New York, and she was recently appointed as an acting justice of the New York State Supreme Court, where she's a presiding judge in the Harlem Community Justice Center. Prior to this appointment, she presided in the New York County Family Court over cases involving the most intimate disputes about child custody, visitation, guardianship, and domestic violence between family members. In this role, she was a staunch advocate for equitable treatment of fathers. In addition, Judge Sweeting presided over the nation's first statewide remote access court, which allowed litigants to appear before the court by Skype video. Throughout her legal career, Judge Sweeting has remained steadfast in her commitment to ensuring the equality and justice at the forefront of our legal system. At birth, she was told by doctors that she would never walk, let alone run. Notwithstanding this prediction, not only did she walk, but she ran fast. By the age of 9, she had competed in the Colgate Women's Games and has set several national records in the 400 and 800-meter runs. From this experience, she learned early in life that regardless of one's environment, with faith, hope, and perseverance, one can overcome the odds. Through education and an athletic scholarship, she worked her way up from the Polo Grounds Housing Project in Harlem to college, through law school, and to her current position as a judge. Judge Sweeting is the first and only legal practitioner admitted to practice law in New York, Washington, D.C., the Fourth Circuit of Virginia, and the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Judge Sweeting earned her law degree from Rutgers University of Law in Newark, New Jersey, where she established the law school's first legal training program for high school students. And she received the J. Scully Wright Prize for her commitment to civil rights, civil liberties, and community affairs. She has also studied law in the United Kingdom, Zimbabwe, and Botswana, Africa. Judge Sweeting has received the highest honors and the highest rating of most highly qualified by the Independent Judicial Screening Panel, highly approved by the LGBTQ Bar Association of the Greater New York, approved by the New York Bar Judicial Committee, and approved the New York Women Judiciary Committees. Please join me in welcoming Judge Sweeting.
Thank you so much, Commissioner, I'm claiming Payne. Now, I will tell you, Commissioner Payne, I too answered the call whenever I receive it from Mr. Melvin Alston. And even when he doesn't make the call, if I find that he is somewhere, I make it my business to be there. So I most certainly want to thank you for the introduction. I want to highlight and thank also Mr. Robert Martinez, who laid the landscape for the extraordinary work that's being done at ACS. I was taking notes as to all of your work because it is absolutely extraordinary. And I say that because oftentimes when we hear, and when I say we, most certainly people in the minority community in particular, when we hear ACS, those words send tremors more so than the IRS or any other 3 letters, because the Administration for Children's Services has, by way of its history, there are some who believe that its position is separating as opposed to uniting families. And your presence here today and the work that you're doing is really historic in that it's turning the page of making sure that the agencies by which we work and we serve, that they're serving the people in the communities and the families in our communities. So I want to thank you for that historical perspective that you gave us. Now, the nucleus of all that, Commissioner Payne and Mr. Martinez, is none other than Mr. Melvin Alston. He is a living, breathing architect of history. The fact that he claims that he has retired, but yet he continues to do this work, tells us that when something is so deeply ingrained in your spirit, it is not a job that he's holding, it's a lifetime commitment. And that's the type of man and model that we can all look to. On this screen, I see Mr. Raheem Brooks from Fatherhood Academy, who is doing incredible work in making sure that we take men from the block to the college campus. And so the work that he's doing, I've had an opportunity to speak at his campus to fathers, to men, empowering them and instilling in them the importance of an education. Even if it's virtual, for the men who are listening, it's to remind you, do not be deceived into thinking that education in any form is something that we can take for granted. Education is the gateway for opportunity. And so the work that he's doing at Fatherhood Academy, Mr. Raheem Brooks, I commend you for that. I then turn to Mr. Derek Phillips from the Real Dads Network. I had an opportunity also to meet with him. And yes, when I'm not on the bench, I am in the community and I make certain that I do the best that I can to meet people where they are. So I met Mr. Phillips and the Real Dads Network and had spoken to the men there, but more importantly, he came to the courtroom. I said to him, come and see for yourself. And Mr. Phillips had indicated that although he had been doing this work for a long time, he had never actually been in the courtroom seeing it from the vantage point of the officers and the judges in the court. So he sat with me on the bench while we heard these cases, and he then moved into the support unit. He was able to observe the abuse and neglect cases. He had not a case, but he had an appointment with a judge. And that makes a difference because he was there in the courtroom to observe firsthand. Your theme this year, our struggle, has purpose, and most certainly it does. And I want to share with you that I was so moved by the work that you all are doing on the ground that in my capacity as a judge, there is a newly established legal association, bar association, called the Caribbean American Lawyers Association. And with that association, I am leading an initiative specifically for men who are interested in careers in law. You all are doing the work. I want to make sure that you have a place as an attorney, as a judge. As I'm looking at my screen, I know there's someone on this screen who's saying, I always thought about going to law school. My mama said you'd make a great judge. Or someone else said you love to argue. Someone else said you make great points. I am looking for you. If you are under the age of 18 or know someone under the age of 18, that's one category because the conversation that I'll be having with the school-aged boys is different from the conversation I'm having with the men. So if you know of young boys, most certainly send them to me. If you know someone who is 18 years of age or older, did not finish college, or is in college with Mr. Raheem Brooks or some other program, I'm looking for you. I don't want you to leave today thinking, well, the judge said it's only the 18 years old. If you're 45, 55, 65, it's that burning desire in your heart that you wanted to become an attorney or possibly a judge. I want you. I want to be the Aunt Sam of the legal community. I'm looking for you. I want to take the men from the block to the bar, where you will become an attorney or a lawyer, and then from the bar to the bench. There's a dearth, there's a shortage of specifically minority Black men in roles as attorneys. You can make the argument in the community. I need you to have the legal authority to go inside a courthouse and make your respective case. I need that equity on the bench that when Mr. Martinez and his agency, Commissioner Payne, Mr. Melvin Austin, Mr. Phillips, Mr. Jordan Ortiz, when you've done the work, you need to now enter a courtroom that has an advocate standing by your side who has all of the authority of our Constitution and the law to stand there and say, I represent, and state the name of your respective client who may be a father who you have nurtured in this community. That's the charge that I am answering. That's the charge that I'm sending to you so that I can look on this screen and make certain that there are men of color, men of conscience in our courtroom. Our struggle has purpose, and as your judge, I want to make my purpose that I empower you. So, Mr. Austin, you have my direct line to my head and to my heart, and I will be on today to learn from you in all of your respective programs and find if there's a way that I can assist. So certainly reach out to me. Mr. Austin will have my direct contact. One last thing, I'm looking for this to happen for the month of June. I understand June is Caribbean Heritage Month, my family being from the Bahamas. I know that June is LBTQ month. I know that June is also Juneteenth, which is a holiday. And I know June is Father's Day. I want to reclaim the month of June for the month of the male. So if you're interested or know someone, don't be shy about it. This is your time to shine. And so you all will be ESQ at the end of your name or JD at the end of your name. Or if you're just interested in knowing about the legal process, it's not too late. I want you. Thank you so much, Mr. Austin, and all of you for your time. And I will be on to listen to all of your great programming. I have another meeting that starts at about 2 p.m., so I may have to sign off a little early, but most certainly I am here for service. Thank you all, and I look forward to the rest of the program.
Wow, thank you so much, Judge Sweden. So as you were talking, it was like you were talking directly to me because I've often thought about going to law school. And my mom actually said to me a long time ago that I would make a great lawyer because I love to argue. So actually, I'm really considering I will reach out to you to get some additional information. So thank you. It's amazing how things work out, right? Everything happens on time and for a reason. So thank you so much. It's always inspirational hearing you speak. And again, we are so honored that you picked up the phone to call Melvin and say, let's do this. I want to be here for this program. So you're very, very welcome. And we, like I said before, we all enjoy having you play a role in the work of uplifting and enlightening fathers. So thank you so much. So we're going to transition to a program and an introduction of all our panelists. And so we're going to give each panelist an opportunity to talk about their particular programs, their backgrounds, and then we'll have an opportunity to ask questions about those particular programs and ways that you can gather additional information to support fathers in the communities. So our first panelist who will be talking about their work is Alan Farrell, Deputy Commissioner, New York City Office of Child Support Services, Parent and Community Engagement Division. So Alan, please take it away.
Thank you so much for this opportunity to be with you today. Thank you. I say thank you also to the African American Heritage Committee. I'm seeing so many familiar faces. It's so good to see you, Sabine, Alexis, so many. You say you start calling names, you get in trouble. You get all of you for this opportunity. Certainly, I can't be said about your commitment and leadership. And certainly, thank you so much for providing us with this opportunity to come together, to share information, and to really continue to celebrate this Black History Month. And again, it's as I listen to the initial remarks by Ansel and the Honorable Judge Sweeting about your work, Melvin, and so many, really so many of us, all of us on this Zoom call, that we are making history. We are living emblems of history and Black history, and the work of our children, families, and fathers in this city. So thank you, Melvin, and to the team. And Robert, thank you for that history lesson, really taking us back to sort of another era, another part of the era, and the work that we did. Again, in my professional capacity, I do serve as the Assistant Deputy Commissioner for the Division of Parent and Community Engagement versus Office of Support Services. And in that capacity, I oversee our customer at 151 West Broadway, our operation, correspondence and priority correspondence units, DNA testing, and the No Kidding Straight Talk from Teen Parents program. But yes, in another life, a while ago, I served as the city's first fatherhood services coordinator out of the mayor's Young Men's Initiative, and served in that capacity for 4 years, working with so many here and so many of the city agencies and community-based organizations around thinking about ways that we can become more father-friendly, realizing that that many of our agencies, when we thought about family, we did not think about fathers, whether they were in the home or outside of the home. Oftentimes when we said the word family, we immediately thought about mother and child or mother and children. And we wanted to be intentional. So really, I thank you for the graciousness of whether it was Scott Leach at DYCD, which already had the Fatherhood Initiative moving for many years, whether it was Melvin's work in the community with so many others. I don't know if Sean Dove is on this call, but Sean Dove and so many others, Robert, ACS, Alexis, so many, Raheem at Strive, I mean, right? So the list can go on and on, right? You all have been doing the work prior to my coming on board in that role, and you were gracious enough to work with me and those of us in the mayor's office. And I got to tell you, that was so much appreciated. So to join you now today is an even continued gift. So thank you for that. So that's one part of my story, but there's another story behind that story. And that's where I'm a son, I'm a grandson, I'm a brother, husband, father. And I know that today that I don't find myself in the exact same circumstances of the men, women, and families that we serve find themselves in. But as healthy a way as I can, I try to be aware of the humanity, the perspective, and the day-to-day of the mothers and fathers that we serve. And, this pandemic moment has really revealed much about the inequalities in our society. It's also caused me to ask myself many questions about the why and the how I do what I do every day. But more so, I'm asking many more questions of myself, certainly as a husband, for sure. But every minute of the day as a father, did I say too much? Did I do too little? What do I even have left in the tank to offer today? All right. And have I put on the proverbial oxygen mask first, or did I misguidedly try to play the hero? These are all questions that I've asked myself in this time, and realizing that the story of so many of the fathers that we do serve, they're not unique. That many times they're unique, obviously, in their own right, but in the sense that if we took them all together, we would find that so many fathers do truly feel like invisible men, not just to our office or the Office of Child Support Services, but to many government offices and certainly to society in general. And so they rarely believe that they are truly heard or that their efforts to be good dads are understood or even welcomed. And we really hope that as we can have our conversation today, that our discussion and the things that I'm about to share and my other colleagues share will really add to the growing perspective that you have on the value of fathers in the lives of their children, and how our work, not only in the child support program, but in all of our work, can really make a difference on not only the lives of their children again, but their lives as well. So thank you for that. Thank you so much, esteemed panelists, Scott, right, and Jordan. Looking forward to hearing from you as well. So at this time, I'm going to take a moment to try to out to, I think, Pedro Tapia, who taught me how to share a screen on WebEx. So out the first time, and after that, I'm taking all the credit. So let's see if I can do this. There we go. All right. And then I think he said go into the presentation mode. And there we go. So thumbs up. All right. Thank you, Alexis. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Ansel. Great. Great. Good. All right. So this child support program of today. And so really the child support program has changed over the last number of years. I like to say that, we believe at our core that fathers want to be involved in the lives of their children. We certainly understand that there are circumstances where dads don't make that choice. But we believe that more broadly speaking, that fathers do want to be positively and healthily involved in the lives of their children, and that there are barriers oftentimes that stop them from doing that. Some of those barriers are the unintended consequences of the implementation of our programs and policies, and some of those other barriers are certainly challenges that they run into along the path of life. But we want to be the child support program of today. We really do want to do away with that whole idea of the deadbeat dad, and we don't believe that. I like to quote Dr. Ron Mincy. He talks they're not deadbeats. Oftentimes they're dead broke, and there are so the barrier of underemployment or unemployment is what they find themselves often facing, and certainly in this pandemic moment. What is our mission? Our mission is really to provide services to mothers, fathers, and guardians, regardless of income, immigration, and cash assistance. We are amongst the strongest anti-poverty programs in the nation. I'll talk more about that in a second. And really looking at our shared mission with our partners at the Administration for Children's Services, right? That the association between child maltreatment and poverty is clearly established in the research, and child support payments do reduce the risk of child maltreatment. There's actual research that actually points to that. I believe it's right. Ms. Maria Cancian talks about the research that shows that receiving child support does reduce the risk of child abuse and neglect. So that is something we can all get behind, because obviously finance, debt are all stress points, right? And so when you can alleviate those stress points and bring funds into the home where those families can begin to benefit from it, or the fathers that you serve can be introduced to our debt reduction programs, and the weight of debt can be removed from their shoulders, we can see certainly reducing the risk of child maltreatment or neglect. So children who get child support are more likely certainly to do better on several social indicators: complete school, or remain removed from involvement in the criminal justice system, not abusing substances, not becoming parents early themselves, and so on, and just having overall a more healthy view of themselves and their world. And so that is something that I think, can all get behind. This slide is a very powerful slide for us. So families in poverty increasingly rely on child support. So you can see the top here, custodial families living at or below the federal poverty level who receive child support. In 1995, that number was at 26%. But look at 2017, 4% of custodial families living at or below the federal poverty level who receive child support, those families are 43%. Those families are, that makes up 43% of their income, right? So in 1996%, in 2017, 43%. For custodial families living below 50% of the federal poverty level who receive child support, in 1995, 39%. Look at the jump, 2017, 64%. What this slide ultimately is saying is that families are increasingly relying on child support as part of their household income, and child support for particularly poor families who are below the federal poverty level or 50% of the federal poverty level. For those families, child support is a critical part of their income and a critical lever in helping to lift children out of poverty. So how much do we collect? So close to 5.4 billion in total collection for New York City for children 2014 to 2020. So it's also important to note that we have about 308,000 children under 18 are on the OCSS caseload. That's 1 in 6 children. And out of 283,000 cases, current and former cash assistance cases total 122,412 cases. So that accounts for a little more than half of the caseload. And so you can see here, custodial parents receiving cash assistance benefits receive up to $200 per month in current child support payments on top of their existing cash assistance benefits. You can see the calculus here, and we're gonna figure out a way to share this presentation with you. So don't worry, get it all now. We're gonna figure out a way to share this deck with you. But you can also see in the second bullet, custodial parents not receiving cash assistance receive 100% of all their current support received, and they also receive 100% of all payments toward owed to them. Apply for child support services. So you can see there, custodial parents who are receiving cash assistance are referred by FIA to the Office of Child Support Services. Compliance is required. So if you're receiving cash assistance, your compliance and cooperation is required with the child support program. All other custodial parents who are not receiving cash assistance can apply by completing the application online, and we provide a link there to that. We also, the Office of Child Support Services attempts to locate the non-custodial parent using state and federal databases. The custodial parent provides the Office of Child Support Services. That acronym is, it says OCSE, but we've changed our name to services, with information, about the non-custodial parent, and receives a screening for domestic violence. And finally, if the non-custodial parent is located, a hearing is scheduled at the family court where stipulated agreements are going to be available in the near future. And what that basically means is that the family will be able to have a conversation with our customer service walk-in center, as well as our borough offices, begin the process where they can fill out the application, send back the documents to us. And if they would like, they can actually have a conversation with our customer service walk-in center caseworkers, the mother and the father, and enter into an agreement. That agreement is around child support. And then they would go see the magistrate one time, at least one time, just to attest that they entered into this agreement on their own, under their own devices and under no derision or coercion, I should say. And then they would enter into the agreement. So the whole point there with the stipulated agreement is so that the whole process does not have to go through the courts. And we know that oftentimes when you're talking about child support, custody and visitation, that the courts for families can be, there can be a lot of I should say, challenges, right? A lot of bumping of heads, and and so what we'd like to do is remove that out of the process, where you have an opportunity to sort of just speak to one another with a caseworker and enter into an agreement that way. And finally, if unable to locate the non-custodial parent, the case is on hold while we search. So prevention and engagement is critical. And so we want to, wherever possible, ensure that when a person's income meets the right standards there, that they're able to enter into a poverty order. That's $25 a month, non-custodial parents earning at or below the federal poverty level, and $500 cap on arrears. So we want to make sure that they don't have a situation where they're experiencing a lot of debt owed to the Department of Social Services, and we want to cap their arrears at $500. So a minimum order is where the order would be $50 a month, earning at or below the New York State Self-Support Reserve. We want to offer, wherever possible, modified DSS orders. So that would help non-custodial parents modify their child support order owed to the Department of Social Services. And we're also working on developing that option here in this pandemic moment, where that would be able to be entered into virtually. So more information on that to come. And employment programs. So we have the STEP program, where the average wage of that program it's an employment program that all folks who are receiving cash assistance are able to enter into through HRA. But also our non-custodial parents are also eligible to enter into that program, support through employment program, STEP. And so the average wage there is $14.71. And then we have the Families Forward Demonstration Project, where the average wage is $18.72. And so we'll talk more about that in more detail as this presentation.
So Alan, I just want to give you a time check. So we are like 2 minutes.
Okay, great. And then we have our OCSS programs that help reduce child support debt. You can see them listed here. And again, post this presentation, the whole point is that I really wanted to give you a basic overview of our program and really offer you the opportunity to have us back, where we can do a deeper dive, answer more questions that are even more specific to the fathers and families that you serve. One of the things that we're going to be talking about here is our Pay It Off program, where you can have DSS arrears payment matched by the Office of Child Support Services, and it's going to be offered from March 1st, that is Monday, through March 31st. And so some of you may have already received our newsletter that has information about the Pay It Off program, and I'll be sending out an email, and I'll make sure that all of you receive that. So I'll work with Melvin and others to make sure that you all receive that information so you can share it with the fathers you serve and the communities you serve. So thank you again for this opportunity. My contact information is here. We're going to make sure that you get this presentation. And thank you so much again. Are there any questions?
So Alan, because we're kind of running short on time, I want to make sure we get to all the other presenters. We're going to try to reserve some time at the end for questions. I do have one quick question though, and I love what you said about not losing sight of the humanity of the person in front of you, and so I wonder if you can just talk briefly about how you're able to maintain that value and practice that value in a system that can be dehumanizing.
Yeah, and I think that again, I'm a social clinician, but I have heard of unhealthy ways to do that, and there are healthy ways to do that. So I try to be very clear that I am not the men or the families that I serve, right? But at the same time, I know where I came from. I grew up in Soundview, Monroe houses, and raised by my mom and my grandmother, you know, and really clear about what that experience was like, clear about the young fathers that I continue to have relationships with outside of this work, and hearing their stories. So listening very carefully at every opportunity. So whether dads are referred to me through the Real Dads Network or another program, I try to be really thoughtful and I try to listen well. So I'm learning at every point. I don't assume that because I was once fatherhood services coordinator and I'm a dad now, I get it. I presume that each time I'm listening to the nuances and what could be different about what I've come to understand about fatherhoods and family. So that's one of the ways that I believe that thankfully have continued to try to be tethered to that humanity and those realities and complexities.
So, hi, Alan and company. So there's another question. I'm not sure how you want to handle it. Ansel, should we wait to the end or actually answer a request to share the deck, the PowerPoint deck?
Yeah,
Yep.
so yeah, we're going to share the PowerPoint deck, and so Robert is going to keep track of the questions in the chat. So if folks have questions, put it in the chat. We are actually 15 minutes behind at this point, so I want to make sure we get to all of our presenters. So next up is Jordan Otis, Associate Director for Community Programs, Midtown Community Court, Center for Court Innovation. Jordan?
Thank you, Ansel. Thank you to everybody else on the line, Melvin, for the opportunity to speak here today. All the speakers that spoke before, I got to give another shout out or kind of applause to Judge Sweeting. That was a great keynote that opened us up.
Absolutely.
As the son of a judge out here in New Jersey, it's always powerful to see us advocating for that representation and that kind of presence in the courtroom and the criminal justice system. But yeah, so my name is Jordan. As Ansel said, I'm the Associate Director of Community Programs at Midtown Community Court, which is a project of the Center for Court Innovation. But I'm here today to talk to you all about Up Next. Before we start, I also got to give a couple more shout outs. I see some of my colleagues on the line, some of the folks that are on the ground, the superstars that make this work possible and make my job easy. And then I got to give another shout out to my man, LeVar Folk, who I see on the line, who's been doing the rounds with me through a bunch of ACS presentations, trying to get the word out, who could honestly probably step up and give this presentation himself. So if you want to jump in at any point, by all means. But yeah, so here to talk about Up Next. It's a program for non-custodial fathers throughout New York City. But before I do start and kind of give some information, I want to share a quick video. We were very fortunate to be spotlighted by the Today Show recently. And so this video gives you guys some insight on what it's like from the participants themselves. So Pedro, if you want to go ahead and start that, I'll pick back up afterwards and fill in some of the blanks.
Family time is something this group of dads doesn't take for granted. They're graduates. Up Next. It's a New York City-based fatherhood program that helps formerly incarcerated and non-custodial dads find employment and reconnect with their families.
Yeah, you feeling good, huh? Nice day today, huh?
Harry Glenn is one of those dads. What happened in your life that led you to this place?
Started off really young, getting in trouble out in the street, selling drugs with my friends, and then went to prison in my late 20s for 10 years.
Harry was arrested on drug charges when his daughter Anastasia was still a toddler. He would spend much of her childhood in prison. How much time were you able to spend with your daughter before you went to prison?
When I left, Anastasia was 2 years old. Seeing my daughter come to the visits let me know that I'm letting somebody down here. This is somebody that's dependent on me.
When Harry was released from prison, his daughter Anastasia was almost a teenager and living with her aunt. Harry's parole officer referred him to the 6-week-long Up Next support program. That's where he met other dads hoping to regain custody of their children.
How are we doing today? All right. What drives you today? Like, what gets you up in the morning?
Growing up without a dad and being a dad, it's just, I just wanted to show the difference to my children.
I don't want to miss a day out of my kid's life. I want to be their superhero. That's it. As long as they can get older and like, my daddy was there for me, I'm fine with that.
My daughter just turned 5. It's the second birthday in a year and that I didn't get to spend with her, you know? On those hard days where you just kind of like don't want to deal with it, understanding that there's someone in that space that might need your energy and having accountability just to be there and show up for that person.
How did the Up Next program help you become a better father?
Well, it gave me the first line of communication with my daughter, like a direct line. They reached out to her aunt. Her aunt let me know, like, listen, it's your daughter. You can come get her anytime you want to. I just want to make sure that you're prepared for what's going on here. And she started filling me in, like, these are the things that you miss. This is what your daughter may need from you.
How hard is it to be a dad when you're in prison?
I wouldn't say that you could be a father, because what I learned now is to be a father is just to be present, pretty much. That's something that I've been learning. I've been learning that every day.
After completing Up Next, Harry was placed in a transitional job program working as a street cleaner in Times Square. In 2018, he was hired by the Midtown Community Court to be their community engagement coordinator. Just recently, he bought his first home, and his older daughter, Anastasia, now 16, has decided to move back in with him.
How proud are you of yourself?
Oh, see, I don't like to give myself no props.
You should. Statistically, this is not how it plays out.
Nah, not at all. I learned so much inside that box about myself that it helped me come out here and be able to be vulnerable and accept other people's opinion and their plan too.
Harry's life after prison has also been the start of a new chapter of fatherhood. His fiancée, Renita, recently gave birth to their daughter, Kinsley.
It's very important for society to give them another chance because, like, who doesn't make mistakes? The part that's important is that you learn from it, you grow from it.
When Annie was little, I was in the street, so I wasn't focused on home. Now I can't wait to 5 o'clock and get there because I know that is somebody like this little with a big old head of hair, and she's knocking at that window like, yo, Dad, what's up? That's my joy right there. That's my reward.
Appreciate you sharing that. So yeah, to fill in some of the blanks, I'm going to go through a quick PowerPoint presentation, and we'll pick it up from there. So just 1 second. Cool. So Up Next. So like I said, Up Next is a fatherhood program that focuses really on fatherhood engagement and parent support, which is funded by the Department of Youth and Community Development, who we'll also hear from later. So shout out again to Scott Leach, who's kind of our fearless leader in making us able to do the work that we're able to do. So we, like I said, we are a parenting program first and foremost, but we also realize that a lot of times dads come to us with other needs, and oftentimes the referral partners come to us with other needs, whether that's kind of navigating some maybe workforce support or anger management, things like that, building up social skills. So we try and build out a lot into this program to make it all possible. We also realize that dads come to us with hectic schedules, hectic lives. And so we also try and make the program as accessible as possible, offering a bunch of different program timing options too. So this is a cohort model, as you kind of gathered from that video. Everyone sits down and we hold classes. Used to be in person in the classroom. Now now we're actually doing everything online. And so now we're having a group conversations over Zoom, but everyone receives their own case manager when they come in. And so this is a really individualized and tailored process, even though they're in kind of groups going throughout the program. And then we also couple it with other events and different kinds of things to round out the experience for the fathers. on eligibility. So like I said, the biggest thing is that the dad has to be non-custodial. We realize also that non-custodial is rarely just black and white. And so if there's questions as to that eligibility, we always just recommend giving us a call and we'll talk through it with y'all and make sure that we can really figure out if that dad's appropriate for the program. They also have to be a resident of New York City, so they have to provide us with a New York City address. I say provide us with that address because, like I said, life is difficult sometimes. And so sometimes the dad may not have that permanent address to present, but may stay in a shelter or maybe at a friend's house. And so as long as we can get one of those addresses in the 5 boroughs, we can work with that. That dad has to be over the age of 18 with a child that they don't have custodial status over under the age of 18. And then there is a income requirement based on household size. For these referrals, we want to make everything as easy as possible for you all. So we've received referrals by phone calls, text messages, emails, that all works. We've also created this online referral form, which I'll try and circulate afterwards, that streamlines it a little bit. And then we have our program associate, Claire Barker, who is really kind of the head of our outreach and is often that first person that is in contact with our dads once that referral is sent over. I should also pause real quick and just say that there's no wrong door into Up Next. So even though some of the folks that you saw in that video did come from justice involvement, that's absolutely not the criteria. We get referrals from ACS, of course, but we also get referrals straight from family court, from criminal court as an alternative to incarceration, or even as an alternative to detention. A lot of our referrals are just voluntary. Dads are just trying to build themselves up and re-engage with their families. To give a bit more about what this actually looks like for the dads when they go through. So since that video was taped, we've actually expanded to a 12-week model. And in that model, we incorporate these things through our parenting curriculum. So you'll see the conversation really starts off with conversations about culture and discussions about culture that impact on fatherhood and fathering styles. And then it definitely gets deeper. So we talk about toxic masculinity and kind of concepts around what it means to be a man. And then continue down the line to incorporate conversations around domestic violence and intimate partner violence. As you can see, there's gender and violence on there, power and control, things along those lines. And father's role in family history. So 24/7 dad is kind of the bread and butter of what we do. And then the other 2 pieces that you'll see are really just supplementary and absolutely voluntary to round out that experience for the fathers. Quickly, one, we want to make sure that a dad has the ability to contribute to his family and really engage with their children and be in a kind of supportive way financially as well. So a lot of our dads, they come to us and they say, or they start to assess their own ability to be a father on their ability to provide. And so what we do is have an optional track that really allows the dads to engage with one of our case managers to work on their career path, to cover things from building out their first resume and cover letter to navigating what it's like to actually use a computer for that search. So what a job search is like, navigating Microsoft Office, Microsoft Word, all those things that a lot of people take for granted, but skills that may not necessarily be there. You see my guys off in that picture to the right. So one thing that we do have, which is really popular, is a transitional employment opportunity. So our dads that do graduate the parenting program and engage in some workforce work are actually eligible for transitional employment opportunities, not only with Times Square Alliance, but also with UPS as well and some other connections. But not all dads come to us wanting to be a sanitation worker, and we understand that, we respect that. And we'll even challenge dads and say, well, you didn't want to be a sanitation worker when you were growing up, so what are your goals? And we'll push for that as well. Thinking for a Change is our cognitive behavioral therapy curriculum that we use. And so this is great because, like I said earlier in the presentation, a lot of referrals that are made to us include some type of help with the dad with their social skills, whether that's explicitly anger management or whatever that may be. So Thinking for a Change is a curriculum that we use, which really that first bullet covers, really helps our dads navigate stressful interpersonal conflicts. So that can be in the home, that can be at work, that can be just in their day-to-day, and really start to understand how their behavior is perceived by others and how they're starting to perceive others' behavior so they can navigate around those a bit more. To wrap things up a little bit, like I said, we incorporate a lot of other things into this experience for the dads. So you heard all about kind of the Office of Child Support Services. So we provide linkages and connections there. So dads can navigate that a little bit, as well as family court, visitation, and things along those lines, benefits. We also bring in a bunch of guest speakers. So we have New York Legal Assistance Group that actually gives our dads 2 weeks of, or 2 different workshops over 2 weeks on financial literacy. And so they can help budget and they can start to kind of explore that world a little bit, as well as legal support through Lyft. And then you'll see on the bottom there, some of our other partners. So I want to highlight 2 of them real quick. Momo, which is one that's right around the corner from us in Midtown Manhattan, who has been great to us and actually helped us do workshops with the dads, create their own coloring books, provide free tours to the dads and their families, which has been just extraordinary. And then the Good Plus Foundation. So the Good Plus is something special that we've got a connection with too, because there are needs and there are material needs for dads. And so although we're not a stipended program, the dad can come up to their case manager, request anything from diapers to cribs, beds, things along those lines. And Good Plus helps us put those in our dad's hands just a few weeks after those requests are made. So that's certainly something that's great for the participants too. So lastly, just my contact information, the contact information of our program associate, Claire, who does our outreach. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to answering any questions that people may have at the end of this event. So thank you for the time, and I'll pass the mic back.
So thank you, Mr. Otis. Really, really great conversation. Really informational, and I'm looking forward to really hearing more about that curriculum, because there was some real interesting topics in there. If folks have questions, please put it in the chat, and we can make sure we get to those at the end. We're going to shift up our program a little bit. Mr. Leach, Scott Leach, has to leave us shortly, so I want to make sure we get his voice in here. So Scott Leach, New York City DYCD Fatherhood Director, who's been doing this work for many, many years. And if I were to talk about his bio, I could probably talk into next week. So certainly, Scott, please, you're very welcome.
Thank you. So, and thank you, everyone. And Judge, I definitely have to have you really soon. I know you gave a shout out to everybody, but I'm definitely going to be talking to you because I do a number of different things. Yes, my name is Scott Leach. I work for DYCD. We're the funding source for many activities around the city. Most people know us because we do youth programs, after school programs, beacon programs, cornerstones, everything of that nature. But also want to be able to let everyone know that we do a number of other community resource events and activities where we have immigrant services or senior citizen programs. And what I head up is fathering initiative programs at DYCD. So when you see DYCD, it's just not only youth, we have another whole component of called community, and which is under CSBG funding, which I have the privilege of overseeing 8 fatherhood contracts and portfolios that I manage. I am a master trainer of fatherhood, having credentials in that. I speak not only here in New York, I actually speak across the country. And I've done quite a few national conferences, and I actually have some more conferences coming up this year that I'll be speaking at. Actually, I was asked to do a piece this year, which is a little challenging. It's fatherhood in foster care that I'm working on putting. So I'm going to be reaching out to you all because with the understanding of how MAP training is designed, there's a pieces in MAP training that I have talked to people about that should be uniquely set aside for fathers to understand their roles as foster care fathers. So I'm going to be speaking in May at a conference on that about fatherhood and MAP training. So anyway, Jordan actually did most of my work for me. Jordan, I am going to kind of take your PowerPoint and change up a little bit, but everything you saw that Jordan put up is part of the 8 contracts that are around the 5 boroughs. So we have a fatherhood program in every borough. We have one in Staten Island, 2 in Brooklyn, 2 in the Bronx, 1 in Manhattan, which is Jordan's. And we oversee and serve in the neighborhood about 13 to 1,400 fathers a year across the portfolio. So I manage the work that the fathers do and make sure that the classes and the agencies are giving fathers all the right tools and content that they can offer. One thing that we're excited about when we designed this fatherhood program many years ago, we designed it with the concept that we are one of the few fatherhood portfolios in the country that are not based on workforce. We are based on engagement and relationships of fathers and children. So our goal is really to have fathers and children having relationship. And as we all know, all the panelists know on this webinar, that when fathers have contact and relationship with children, fathers pay more money, they spend more time, and especially African-American fathers. And the studies have shown, I'm pretty sure Derek will bring it out some more, that African-American fathers spend more time with their children than any ethnic group in the world. But we're told the lie, don't. The studies have shown that we are the best fathers in the world. So I want to make sure that we know that and we pat ourselves in the back and we bring it out that we are the best fathers in the world. So I'm going to cut it short because unfortunately, Axel said, I do have to jump off and jump into another meeting. I hope that if the meeting cuts short, I will try to log back in when the question and answering service part of the panel comes back up. Thank you, Axel.
Thank you so much, Scott. I love what you said about Black and brown fathers being the best fathers. So certainly that's going to be one of my takeaways. I'm going to be exposing that everywhere. So thank you so much. I don't know if there's any questions that folks want to have that folks may have for Scott at this point before he leaves. If there's any in the chat or Robert?
None on the chat. None on the chat so far.
Okay. So I'm sorry, Rob, I didn't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay. Yeah, nothing for Scott Lee so far.
Move on to the next answer. No. We come back.
So again,
you don't have to reach me. You can get the question later if you need to, and I can respond later also. So I love you, brothers. Always glad to work with you all. And Melvin, you're the one. Melvin is the real deal.
Go ahead.
He's the deal.
Yeah, yes, he is. And Scott, it's always a pleasure.
Stop. Go to the next.
And Scott, it's always a pleasure, and thank you for making yourself available for this morning and for this forum. Scott has been a wonderful partner in this work, and so we often tap him to come in and talk with us, to educate us about how we can be even better in our work. So Scott, again, you are admired, you're inspiration to us all, and thank you for the amazing work that you're doing. So let's transition to our next analyst. Raheem Brooks from CUNY Fatherhood Academy at LaGuardia, and I'm really interested in hearing about this Fatherhood Academy. So Raheem, take it away.
Sure. Thank you, Ansel, and thank you for having me. Shout out to Melvin. Thank you so much, African American Working Group. Alan Farrell, shout out Alan. Alan actually, when he was a city fatherhood service coordinator, was hugely responsible for getting this program off the ground. Shout out to Scott, Derek, Larry Edwards, I see on here. I see you, brother. Good to see you. Everyone's so responsible for getting this up and running, and I learned so much from you, brothers. Thank you so much. And shout out to Judge Sweeting, Honorable Judge Sweeting. Whenever she opens her mouth, I want to run through a wall, and she says something incredibly important. She said education is the gateway to opportunity, and I think at the Fatherhood Academy, that's what we believe. I want to share a brief video just to open it up. Please enjoy. Page.
You're a new father. It's like your whole world changed. You don't know what you're getting into.
A good percentage of young adults that end up having kids end up dropping out.
That was definitely the reason why I came to Fatherhood Academy. I dropped out of high school, I had 2 kids, and I'm like, you know what, I definitely need to progress in life, and education is the only way out.
This program saved my life.
The teachers help you. They really want to teach. And I don't feel pressured. I just feel comfortable. Like I could be me.
I'm appreciative of being around people who genuinely care about me and where I come from.
It feels so good to know that you're welcome somewhere in a safe place that's gonna help you with like literally whatever you need help with.
The diapers, the wipes, the counseling.
At a point I was homeless, so it's like a partner with the staff, and they found me a shelter to go to. This program was right there when I was at my darkest time. Yeah, I don't know where I would be if I threw up this program.
What's next? What inspires me the most is watching these guys get their high school diplomas, and the high school diploma they get a job, graduating college.
I can't help my daughter be the type of person that she needs to be in this world if I'm not the type of person that I should be. And that's what the program taught me.
I'm gonna have my diploma up hanging on the wall, so it gives them a platform to say, you know what, Daddy did it, I have to do it. And I'm forever grateful for the Fatherhood Academy.
Oh, thank you. Fatherhood Academy is about intergenerational change. I think that's the biggest takeaway of what we're trying to do here. We work with fathers between the ages of 18 to 30 years of age, fathers and expected fathers for that matter. This all started as a partnership with the City University of New York, the Mayor's Office for Economic Opportunity, and the Young Men's Initiative. And again, the key is to provide education services specifically for fathers. This is a tailored program just for dads to enter into educational institutions that at times have not been the greatest, especially through their experiences with DOE. Again, many of our guys have not graduated from high school. And to that, we have a 2-track approach to the program. There are 2 tracks that someone can enter. Track 1 is our high school equivalency track. And again, that is the program is geared to help students that did not pass the high school, did not graduate high school or pass a GED. This is a cohort model. It's a 16-week program. It's 3 days. It meets 3 days a week between the hours of 10 and 3:30 p.m. And currently, right now, honestly, there were challenges faced with the COVID pandemic. Ordinarily, we would meet on campus. The college that I work for specifically is LaGuardia Community College, and there's definitely a missing component there, and that's just introducing gentlemen to the actual environment, which is the college environment. That's huge when someone is coming on a college campus and actually connecting and sitting in those chairs that actual college students sit in. It changes it a little bit. It gives it a little bit perspective. That said, we have transitioned to fully remote, and it's been very successful. We've actually been able to connect with more guys this way, which is interesting. And we're able to allow additional services like normally, as I mentioned, it's a 3-day-a-week program, but then we can add an additional day on there where guys who do self-directed, they can meet directly with their instructor. They can have one-on-one tutoring sessions with an organization, City Tutors, which we partner with to provide tutoring services. But the big unique piece that we have is the parenting and life skills component, which I know Alan had mentioned it when he spoke about, there's so many questions as a dad. I'm a dad myself, and I have questions, particularly in this pandemic. And if I get one more gray hair, man, I don't know what to say. But I mean, my daughter right now is in kindergarten, and there are a lot of challenges, and a lot of brothers that aren't connected to a fatherhood program don't ordinarily have conversations about their kids with other brothers, at least on this level. I think that you can never get enough of those type of conversations. Guys can come to a place and feel a bit vulnerable, and share with each other. That's huge. I think that is one of the biggest pieces of our program. I think that has led to our success and the success of our students. The young men that come through the program to get their high school equivalency are passing at a rate of 68%, which is higher than the city average and the state average. I think that is a testament of that, just that interaction that they have within those groups, allow for them to have different type of discussions, in addition to just math, ELA, and English language learning and science and things like that. It's huge. And when a father, if he doesn't pass on the first try, that's not it. You could come back. You could participate in our alumni enrichment classes, which we get you ready to pass that section that you didn't pass, which is usually math a lot of the time. There's a fear of math. I know I had it, but the guys have the opportunity to come back, and they usually pass. If they don't pass the first time, they pass the second time. They're like one section away. So that has been incredibly helpful to the growth of the student. Our track 2 is the college and career prep component. And this is a father. Let's say a father comes, he's like, man, I have this FedEx job, it's paying the bills, it's cool, but I want career opportunities that could provide for my family long term. Um, so we assist students in identifying the strengths, while introducing them to some college career majors, training opportunities, leading to careers and financial stability for their families. This is a 10-week program, 2 days a week of instruction. It usually happens between 4 and 8 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Again, there's the parenting life skills component that is embedded within this as well. We have LaGuardia faculty, staff, outside presenters come in, introduce the students to career paths. We help them with financial aid, college application workshops, financial literacy workshops, and we assist students to enroll into LaGuardia Community College to obtain their associate's degree or enroll in training opportunities. We currently have 9 students that are enrolled in college at this time. We have 3 students that have graduated from 4-year colleges. We have 2 more that should be graduating in the summer. Uh, the opportunity is open to our graduates from track 1, but it's open to the public as well. If someone comes to us that is in need of it, that fits the requirements, which just being 18 to 30-year-old dad or expecting father, they can enroll into the program. In fact, we're recruiting now for March 9th. If you know anyone that's interested, I'll leave an online application, and again, I'll continue to spam the chat with my information. Please reach out to me, and we can set them up. Um, and I need to share the benefits and incentives because a lot of guys come into the program, and it's been mentioned by the presenters that the guys want to contribute financially. I mean, that's the big thing. The brothers want to contribute. It's not like a trying. These brothers want to contribute. A lot of them are working in some cases, um, and they come with a sense of guilt. Like, man, all right, I know I got to get this high school equivalency, but man, I don't know. I mean, I'm concentrating on myself. So it's a sense of guilt there that they're feeling. So we add other layers. We add benefits and incentives. And one of the benefits, I mean, a few of the benefits that start during the program We provide individualized counseling, and again, this is strength-based counseling. The fathers and their counselor, each father is assigned a counselor, and they meet regularly. And counselors also lead the parenting and life skills classes as well, so they get an opportunity to have different type of conversations that are well-rounded. They also provide court advocacy, but although not as in depth as the Up Next program. Jordan, they do an amazing job. But we do participate in court, whether it's criminal or child support. We have participated in ACS sessions. It's just having the support there, because a lot of the time, the brothers that we serve don't have that support. They just need someone there with them to just be there, rooting them on. We also have a mentoring component. Each father is assigned a mentor, and these are former students. These are guys that come back to the program. These are fathers. These are young men that are enrolled in the college, doing very well, and they want to give back. They want to connect with the new group. And this has been, again, this is a very big part of our program, because the guys that are enrolled in it, they see themselves in the brothers. It just may be a step ahead, but they're connecting with them. They're finding out, how is college really like? What is this? Is it really, can I do this? And shout out to Rajiv, Gonzalez, who I believe is on the call as well. He works for Up Next. He's doing an amazing job. And he was one of our first mentors in the program. And he graduated from my college and career prep. So I got to shout my brother out, who's doing amazingly well. And just I mean, he definitely, as an example, he was hugely responsible for one of the brothers that was having some challenges with math, and he sat with him daily, and the brother passed the test, and he's doing well himself. So shout out to Rajiv. We have an employment specialist, who she has a job. She does individual job and career counseling, while also running workshops around resume writing, interview skills, job placement assistance. We've been fortunate to really been able to get a nice number of jobs. About, right now, I believe it's up over 300 job placements, which has been really good, considering. And one thing I'm really proud about is we were able to create a family engagement component. Now, this family engagement component is huge in that fathers who are participating in the program can refer the mother of their child or any other family member to this program. That person will meet with our family engagement specialists. They have access to counseling, mediation, career assessment, resume writing, and interview prep, training, which in most cases we can actually cover. These are paid trainings that we can actually pay for. There are graduates that came in. They participated in English as a second language programs, HSC with high school equivalency programs, and enrolled in the college. I mean, it's just a wide-ranging amount of things that are going on internally in LaGuardia Community College that we can actually handhold them and drop them off at the location. And again, in some cases, in many cases, we could actually pay for opportunities for them. Additional incentives, we have a great partnership with the Good Plus Foundation as well. We're able to provide diapers, strollers, cribs, whatever is needed. We have gift cards that we provide the guys. When students are on campus, each day that they are on campus, they're provided a Metro card to and from school, and breakfast and lunch. Because guys, some of our brothers come through, very hungry, and we take care of them for breakfast and lunch. Unfortunately, during this time, not unfortunately, but at this time, we're not on campus. But that's all right right now. When we do return, which we're hoping we will return in some capacity in the fall, we will have that opportunity again. Also, I want to mention we have a stipend. I will again leave my information in the chat. Please reach out to me if you want to know more about that. We normally don't promote the stipend because we want the brothers to come through for other things. We don't want them to be motivated by the incentive. But as soon as they enroll, we let them know you're getting this. So it's not something that we often advertise, but something I wanted to point out. All this leads to a 75% retention rate. This is something that we're very proud of. Guys, usually when they start the program, they complete the program. And when they complete the program, they get connected to our alumni network. This is services that happen after the program is over. After they complete the program, again, they can enroll into the college and career prep. They receive counseling, continued job placement opportunities, training that, again, we pay for this training. We have 14 students last week graduated from OSHA 30 and 10, because now you have to have the 40. So we had to take care of both of those OSHA classes. So they graduated from that. We have EMT training. We have a gentleman that's in there right now. We have accounting. We have plumbing, electrical, college application waivers. If you want to go to college, we take care of the waiver for that. We take care of the application fees. Again, all this is at LaGuardia Community College. So there's so many programs that we can point the student in the right direction. Again, we can pay and cover those costs for those gentlemen. I don't want to move on without saying we have two other campuses that are also amazing. Hostos Community College, if you're in the Bronx. Again, I'll leave something in the chat so you can kind of take a look at those campuses as well. Hostos Community College, we have Kingsborough Community College, which is located in Brooklyn. Both amazing programs as well. It's the Fatherhood family, and we just want to connect with our fathers and their families and continue to build our communities. Help them build communities and help them gain some social capital and knock down these doors, knock down these walls, through education and employment and all the things that they want to do with their lives. We want to be able to support them through that journey. I look forward to answering questions. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Brooks. If folks have questions, please put them in the chat. We're going to transition to Derek Phillips. And Derek is going to be our last presenter this morning, and we rearranged the schedule somewhat. But it's no accident that Derek is our last presenter. Derek is considered one of the pioneers of the fatherhood movement. You might have seen him or heard him on the radio. You might have seen him on television. You might have seen him in magazines. So Derek has been around for quite some time, and he's a founder and executive director of Real Dads Network. And so I'm really interested in hearing some of the things that Derek has done and the work that he's currently doing in his organization. So Derek, thank you so much for joining us and for your continued dedication.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. And a big shout out always to my man Melvin. Judge, you're right. When Melvin says, "Yo, I need you," it's like, okay, when, where? So whatever Melvin asks for, it's there, because anything that Melvin is doing is coming from the heart. And Melvin is a true servant, and everything that he lives for is to uplift our community and people. So definitely, Melvin, I'm always there. Whenever you need me, I'm always there. And also a big shout out to my man Scott Leach, also Alan Farrell. I've been like blowing up Alan's email, every time, because I get dads that call and ask questions about child support. So I'm constantly Alan. He responds quickly right away. So Alan, thank you for that. And Judge Sweeting, thank you for the courtroom, because that was the first time I've ever been in the courtroom. And I think what's important is that when we do this work, that I think that we also have to walk in the path and the shoes that our fathers are walking in. So we need to know what these things look like. So this way, when we're speaking to them, we're able to actually guide them a lot further. And we know exactly what's going on, because I've never been in a courtroom. So that was, thank you for that, Judge. And Raheem, thank you again, man, for all your support. Because every time I call you, Raheem, you're another one. It's like, yo, you're always there to uplift fathers. So thank you as well for that. And also the African American Heritage Group. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I actually used to work for CWA. I started there, and actually 20 years ago, I actually was part of the first committee that did the African American History Month, and I actually did a booklet called Recognizing the Contributions and Achievement of African Americans. And I did it with CWA. It was CWA at the time, and we raised money for Hell House. So that was over, 20 years ago. Pedro, I have a video. So I sort of did like a PowerPoint presentation of this Real Dads Network, just to give people some understanding of who we are. But I'll have you play that. But also, another thing I forgot, I'm retired. I just retired 2 years ago. I retired as an assistant principal from New York City Department of Education. I'm so proud of the work that I've done there, but I'm also excited about the work that lies ahead because now I have the opportunity to do the fatherhood work that I've been sort of juggling fatherhood work with the assistant principal, with my two daughters, and then driving an hour and a half to get to work. So my daughters now, the oldest is 25 and the youngest is 21, and she's a junior at Hampton University. So I have a lot of time really to put into my passion, which is this fatherhood work. So Pedro, you can start the videos. It's going to be a PowerPoint presentation explaining the history of Real Dads Network. We are a nonprofit organization, and we support fathers in regards to just resources, and we also advocate. One of the things that we try to just advocate for fathers, because when it comes to fathers, a lot of times they don't have a voice, and a lot of times people don't think the voice of fathers are important. Next slide. I'm going to sort of go through this. Real Dads Network derives from a documentary. Scott brought this up earlier in regards to Black fathers, that Black fathers are more involved than any other ethnic group. I knew that in 2000. In 2000, I knew based on the research that Black fathers are more actively involved than any other ethnic group. So what I sought out to do is that I sort of went on this path to change that narrative around Black fathers. So I did this documentary, Real Dads, Black Men on Fatherhood, which was the first documentary ever done that focused on positive Black fathers. And this was done in 2000. And we had commentary by the late, great Ossie Davis. Next slide. What we believe, it is our belief that children do better when both parents are actively involved in the lives of children. When you look at all the research is very clear. If you want children to go further, include both parents. When we look at everything that's happened, all of the social ills, what we're seeing is that both parents are not actively involved. So even I'll throw this out also with ACS. With ACS as well, when we're going out and we're talking with families, we cannot ignore that father that is in the house. Because sometimes what happens is that we'll go out and we'll say, okay, he is not the biological father, but he is a father figure. So therefore, when we're looking to service that family, we have to include fathers. And we have to include resources and support for that father as well, even if that's not the biological father. Next slide. Here are some of our initiatives. Next slide. Real Dads Week Initiative. We are the only organization in the country that celebrates Black fathers for a whole week. And that concept of Real Dads Week, I took that from Carter G. Woodson, who did Negro History Week in 1926. One of the misconceptions that we always have is that we always say, oh, we got February, we got the shortest month of the year. No, you didn't, because if you understand the history, you know when Carter G. Woodson started Negro History Week in 1926, it was based on 1 week. So therefore, in the 1960s, when it was expanded to Black History Month, it's only fitting that you use the same month, February, that Carter G. Woodson actually started Negro History Week. So that's why we did a Real Dads Week to celebrate Black fathers, because we know when it comes to the contributions and achievements of Black fathers, we tend not to talk about that. So we want to celebrate those Black fathers. That's why we do the Real Dads Week. This year, we also will be having our Real Dads Week. We're going to do it virtually. We're going to have a fatherhood exhibit. We're going to have our virtual daddy-daughter dance. We're going to have an award ceremony and a $1,000 scholarship for a Black high school male student that we're giving away this year. And we're also going to do a spoken word. And then also this year, I'm doing Real Dads 2. We will premiere Real Dads 2, Truth Be Told documentary that's going to premiere in June 2021. Next slide. Daddy-daughter dance. Since 2008, we've been doing a daddy-daughter dance. We've influenced several states, cities to do a daddy-daughter dance. We directly influenced Philadelphia to do a daddy-daughter dance. We directly influenced Chicago to do a daddy-daughter dance. We directly influenced Virginia to do a daddy-daughter dance, and we indirectly influenced several other cities to do a daddy-daughter dance. Next slide. Next slide. award celebration. We have given away over 250 awards over the last 12 years to dads in New York City. Next slide. I'm sort of going quick. Next slide. This is part of our, you don't have to show the video, I can show a little of it. This is a camp that we did with fathers of NBA players. We did this in 2019. We had the fathers of Chris Paul, Aaron Gordon, Carl Anthony Towns. This was in Queens. This is part of our Real Dads Week because during the week we have events in every borough. Next slide. And this is also some of the activities. We have like a fatherhood picnic and outing. So we have toy games and activities for children as well as the family members. Next slide. This is also our Real Dads Club initiative in 2010. One of the things that I started the Real Dads Club because one of the things that was happening, and I'm glad, Raheem, you brought this up earlier as well, is that you guys are doing an alumni group. Because one of the things that was happening was that a lot of fathers were going into these fatherhood programs, and when the program was over, there wasn't a place for them to go. They didn't get that support anymore because a lot of times there wasn't funding available to support these fathers. So therefore these fathers, it's like, okay, I went through your program, I learned all these skills and tools, but now it's like 6 months away from the program and I still need support. And there was no place to go. So we created these Real Dads Clubs. So this way men can have a place to go, they can feel supported, and they can also engage in real conversation. So iron sharpens iron. Next slide. What has happened is that since COVID, and Judge Sweeting was able to also speak to at our club, we have not been able to meet physically like everyone else. But for the last 10 months, we've been meeting virtually every Thursday. We've only missed one Thursday, and that was Thanksgiving Day, and we actually met that Friday. We have brought in speakers like Dr. Jeff Gardea. We brought in lawyers talking about how to navigate the family court system. We are talking to men about the importance of health. One of the issues that men are going through is that a lot of times we don't have a place to go to talk. So therefore, as men, we have this thing where we think we have to take care of everybody. We have to take care of the children. We got to take care of the wife. We got to take care of the community. We got to take care of the cousins. We take care of everybody, but what happens to Black men is that we don't take care of ourselves. So what we do is that we talk a lot about in this club the importance of putting yourself first. You have to, one, take care of your mental and physical health, because if you cannot take care of yourself, you cannot take care of your family. So we have these honest conversations about health, about eating right, about exercising, and also about just holding each other accountable. We need places to go where we can hold each other accountable, because it's not just about talking, but it's about action and about people in your corner and supporting you. Next slide. I know I'm talking quick, but our Tickets Together program, this is the Tickets Together program. This is a partnership with the Allen Houston Foundation and the New York Knicks. And what we do with this program is that we select a dad and his child to go to a Knick game, and they get a VIP experience. They go to the game, they see the pregame, they have the child is there for the fan tunnel. It's all you can eat. They don't pay for it. After the game, they take a picture at the center court of the Knicks logo, and then even after that, they go into the locker room and they're taking pictures with the players. So this is part of our Tickets Together program, a partnership with the Allen Houston Foundation and the New York Knicks. Next slide. Shared parenting. One of the things that we've been pushing for and advocating for is that you have to change public policy. So Kentucky is the only state that has a shared parenting bill. Shared parenting bill states simply that if a mother and father are both fit parents, but they just cannot get along, and providing there are no issues of child abuse or neglect, that shared custody, the presumption of custody should be 50-50. So that is one of the things we've been pushing for in New York State. We've had senators over the last 20 years who have actually sponsored the shared parenting bill, but this bill continues to sit in committee. The Family and Children's Committee has not gotten out of committee in over 20 years. So we really are trying to educate people and make people aware of the shared parenting bill in New York State. And I think right now the senator that sponsored it is Kevin Parker out of Brooklyn, is a sponsor of the shared parenting bill, at least last year. Next slide. Real Dad's Book Club. One of the things that we started as well is that we have a book club once a month. This is Jared. Jared is out of Mississippi. He actually heads our book club. He's from a Black man reading. We cannot tell our children that education is important and that school is important when we don't actually model that behavior. So one of the dads said, he's in the book club and he says his daughter's like, Dad, what are you doing reading a book? Okay, so what happens is that when you look at the research, again, as adults, we do not read books and we are parents, but yet we're telling our kids that they must read. The most powerful message you can send to your child is when you have a book in your hand, when they walk in the room and you are reading a book. Okay, you don't have to tell them to read. They will follow you because they see you setting the model. So that's why we set up the Real Dad's Book Club, because it's very important that as men and as fathers, that we actually read books and that we model this behavior that we want for our children. Next slide.
So Darryl, just want to give you a 2-minute warning. Thanks.
You got it. So we did the 2020 census. Next slide. We did a census club every Tuesday. We were meeting for like 3 weeks in March where we had celebrities come in talking about the census. We partnered with other fatherhood organizations on social media talking about the importance of census. Again, when we're talking about uplifting our fathers and communities, we have to not just talk, but we have to actually take action and do things. Next slide. This is our Real Dad's Vote Initiative, because again, we have to take action. We have to change policy, and Black men, especially Black fathers, don't vote. So one of the things that we are trying to encourage people to do is to vote. And you can play the video.
Why are we here? Because our ancestors have fought for this. Many of them have sacrificed their lives so that we can have the opportunity to vote. We owe it to them to register and vote. We can pay our respects to those who have come before us by voting and letting our voices be heard. We are here today to show that real dads vote because our vote matters.
Thank you. I ran through it, but that's it. Thank you. Thank you.
Right. So thank you so much, Derek. I know we're short on time. I'm looking at the time. We have 5 minutes, and I want to make sure I get to our chair, Shower John Gold, to close us out. So are there any questions in the chat, Robert, that we can go to quickly?
Yeah, yes, we have one for Alan. Is how do we learn more about the debt reduction program? Is there a contact person?
Yeah, so that would be me. First, again, I'll be sure to get you the slides. I also, in the chat, I put a link to our website. A specific link I added there was information for non-custodial parents. Now, we know obviously that non-custodial parents can be moms as well as dads, but for the purposes of this conversation, this information will be certainly relevant to the fathers we serve. So if you go on that link I added there, you will see information for non-custodial parents, and on that list is certainly information about our debt reduction programs. If you have specific questions about whether or not a dad you're serving or a mom you're serving who's a non-custodial parent is eligible, reach out to me. I provided my information, my email, my contact information is there. Let's talk. And I would then refer the dad to one of our caseworkers or other team members who would work with them more specifically. We also have an email address that non-custodial parents, custodial parents can email us and then set up a virtual appointment. So again, if you go onto the OCSS website, and again, I provided that information, you can email us, that dad, mom can email us, and we can actually schedule an appointment and do a deeper dive into their actual case. And so happy to continue to talk about that.
Great. Thank you, Alan. We got another one, which I'll share with Scott Lee separately, but just to mention it, what virtual fatherhood programs at DYCD are running at the moment. If anyone has virtual, and we've heard some, right, that have been done virtually already. And then lastly, this is a general question for panelists that how about the resources for dads under 18? And we know that Judge Sweeting talked about her program, but I guess more information about that, but also specifically for our youth in detention centers. And then there was a comment that, of course, at ACS, we want to be sharing all these rich resources with our borough offices that work directly with our families.
So thank you, Robert. I'm looking at the time, and I want to make sure we end on time. So those questions that you just posed, I think we can certainly make sure we have answers to those, and we can maybe you can provide those to the folks who've joined us today, as well as to the general ACS community. So thank you so much. As we wrap up, I definitely want to take a minute to thank everyone for joining us today. Certainly want to thank Judge Sweeting for inspirational words. I'll be reaching out to you about becoming an attorney, having that ES group next to my name. Thank you to all of our panelists, Alan Farrell, Jordan Otis, Raheem Brooks, Derek Phillips, Scott Leach, and certainly for Melvin for all the work you do. And I want to turn this over to Cheryl Drumgo, who is the chair of the African American Heritage Committee, to take us home. Cheryl?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for this powerful presentation today. It was just simply amazing. I am hoping that we did record this so we will be able to share this. Thank you so much to all of the presenters that presented today. Our Judge Sweeting, she was our keynote speaker. I believe that was in 2019, and she is just simply amazing. We love her. And thank you all, gentlemen, for just sharing all of this wealth of knowledge. Thank you so much to Ansel, the MC, and a very special thank you to the amazing Melvin Austin, who spearheaded this event today. There's so much I can say about Melvin. He has been just amazing, and I've been working with him, with the committee for quite some time now, and it's just been a great ride, and I certainly appreciate him. And I don't want to prolong the time. I just want to say that we're ending. This is our last event for the month, and it has just been spectacular. And we're going to be closing out on March 1st at our closing ceremony, and our keynote speaker for that day will be the Bishop Johnny Ray Youngblood, and our renowned poet Malik Canty will be our special guest. So if you have time and you are available, please, you are welcome to join us. And thank you so much for the ACS staff for tuning in. And thank you so much for the African American Heritage Committee. This has been our first year experiencing this virtual experience, and it's been challenging at some points, but it's also has been a wonderful experience as well. And I just want to thank you all so much, and God bless. So I guess we can turn it over to Melvin. He may want to say something. I'm not sure. Turn on your mic.
So Melvin, as you go, just remember to keep it short. Cause I know Melvin can go on and on. Who knows him?
Okay. I want to keep it short, but at the same time, I want to say this. One of the things that the ACS, our Fatherhood Working Group is about is giving information. You know, there's a part in the Bible that says our people perish due to lack of information. And information is important. Give those individuals who come into ACS, those fathers and father figures, we want to give them information. But at the same time, we want to give information to the fathers in the community also about these things that exist. Sharing the information is what this is about. Like we said before, we work in silos. Sometimes we're competitive, but getting the information out to our men, our fathers, and our men in the community is what's at stake. Okay, our communities perish due to lack of information. And that's what this is all about. Men helping men and families and children. So I want to thank again, like Charles said, each and every one of us, one of you for doing this. The platform we're using for this is the African American Committee, and each of you have a platform. I hope you use your platform to help advance our people, not doing African American History Month, but beyond. Okay, we are the future, and we must elevate our community. Thank you, Judge. Thank you ever so much for being there for us. I appreciate you all. God bless and take care.
I just want to say something really quickly. I just want to shout out Miss Wilma Brown. I'm on this committee because of her. So I appreciate her and love her dearly. Thank you.
Thank you, Sabine. Thank you, Sabine. Thank you, Ms. Terry. All right, gentlemen. We'll be meeting next week to discuss the whatevers, okay? Next Tuesday, we're back on business. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. One love.
And take care of each other.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.